Have you ever seen a forest that, well, drinks poison? Sounds a little crazy, right? But that's pretty much what a mangrove is. These incredible trees are thriving in pure saltwater, an environment that would kill just about any other plant you can think of. So today, we're going to break down exactly how they pull off this amazing biological magic trick.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The central mystery here is pretty simple, but it's also profound. How in the world do mangroves survive, let alone build these huge, lush forests when they're literally soaking in salt water? The answer, as you'll see, is a total masterclass in natural engineering.
To really wrap your head around the challenge, you have to understand this one number, 25 bar. That's the osmotic pressure of seawater. It's the force that's constantly trying to suck fresh water out of the mangrove's roots. Now, to put that in perspective, that's the same amount of pressure you'd feel 250 meters. That's over 800 feet underwater. The tree has to fight that immense force just to get a single drink.
And this really highlights the core paradox of the whole situation. Mangroves are completely surrounded by water, yet they live in what scientists call a physiological desert. There's just so much salt in the water that it's incredibly hard for them to absorb any of it. This pressure forced them to evolve some of the most sophisticated survival tricks in the entire plant kingdom.
So how do they do it? Well, the secret starts right where the tree meets the sea, down in the roots. This is ground zero. It's the first and most important line of defense against all that salt. The main process they use is something called biological reverse osmosis. Now, it sounds super technical, but think of it like a high-tech water filter. The incredible part is there's no pump, no electricity. The plant just uses pure physics to create a powerful suction that pulls fresh water in through a special membrane, leaving almost all the salt behind. So you might be asking, where does the energy for all this come from? The sun. It's that simple. As water evaporates from the leaves, that's a process called transpiration, it creates this powerful negative pressure, this suction that literally pulls the water all the way up through the tree. It's using solar energy to power its own personal desalination plant, completely for free.
So let's zoom in and see how this filter actually works. If we look really closely at the root of a red mangrove, we find this incredibly sophisticated three-stage filter. It's not just one barrier, it's three separate layers, and each one has a very specific job to do in kicking that salt out.
And here is the really genius part. It's all about electrical charge. That first layer has a really powerful negative charge. You can almost think of it like a tiny force field. This charge actively pushes away the negative parts of the salt, which in turn helps keep the positive parts out too. It's just a beautiful, elegant, physics-based shield. Okay, but what stops the salty water from just leaking in between the cells? Well, nature thought of that too. The answer is a waxy, waterproof material called suberin. It basically acts like caulking, sealing the whole system shut. It creates a perfect barrier that forces every single drop of water to pass through those special filter cells. No leaks, no shortcuts. But, as amazing as that root filter is, it isn't the only solution out there. The mangrove world has actually evolved a whole bunch of different defensive strategies. It's fascinating. We can basically group them into two main teams. First, you've got the blockers. These guys are the purists. They focus on blocking pretty much 100% of the salt right at the roots. Then, you have the excreters. Their root filters are a bit more relaxed, but they have an incredible backup plan. They just actively pump any extra salt that gets inside out through their leaves.
And you can see how different species have specialized. The red mangrove, which lives right on the water's edge, is the ultimate excluder. It blocks over 99% of salt. The black mangrove, which lives a little further inland, is a master secretor. You can sometimes even see the salt crystals covering its leaves. And then the white mangrove kind of uses a hybrid approach, both secreting salt and using these fleshy, succulent leaves to dilute whatever it can't get rid of.
Now, this ability to live in saltwater, it really seems like a superpower. And it is, but it comes with some major trade-offs. There's a hidden and constant energy cost.
First, let's just acknowledge how important these things are for the planet. Mangroves are what we call blue carbon titans. They store just immense amounts of carbon, more than twice as much as salt marshes do. They are absolute workhorses in the fight against climate change.
But, and this is a really big but, just to survive in that kind of harsh environment, let alone store all that carbon, it takes a huge amount of energy. It's a constant battle that takes a serious toll on the plant's resources.
You see, to manage water loss, mangroves have to keep the little pores on their leaves partly closed, which means they can't photosynthesize as much. A huge chunk of the energy they do make gets diverted away from growth and is instead spent just managing salt and repairing cell damage. They are living right on the very edge of what's physiologically possible.
So what can we learn from all this? Well, this ancient, incredibly efficient system is now serving as a direct blueprint for the future of our own technology, especially for something we desperately need, fresh water.
I mean, think about how we do desalination now. Our industrial plants use brute force. They burn massive amounts of energy to create pressure, and they produce this toxic, super salty sludge called brine. The mangrove, on the other hand, it uses elegant physics, it's solar-powered, and it produces zero waste. It's not hard to see which method is smarter.
Taking a page directly from nature's playbook, engineers at Yale have actually built a device that mimics these principles. It's got a synthetic leaf that evaporates water to create that suction, a stem that keeps air bubbles out, and a commercial membrane that acts as the root. It's a passive, silent desalination, built entirely on the mangrove's blueprint.
And the latest tech is even more advanced. Instead of mimicking the roots, it's mimicking the salt-secreting leaves. These new devices use surface tension to literally push salt to the edges as water evaporates. This not only stops the device from clogging, but lets them collect the salt as a dry, usable solid. It completely eliminates that toxic brine problem. It's a game changer.
This whole approach is opening up some incredible new possibilities. We're looking at devices that can handle the absolute harshest brines, systems that use similar principles to create sustainable hydrogen, and even a new architectural concept called a sponge city, where buildings are designed on foundations that look like mangrove roots to help filter water and reduce floods.
Which really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. For millions and millions of years, a single tree has been perfecting a solar-powered solution to one of humanity's biggest challenges. It just makes you wonder, what other revolutionary blueprints are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to stop and really look?